We do always hope that you can give us some thoughts about how we can take action to support the work that you're doing and to support our democracy. So I would love to invite LaTosha to begin with, to give us a call to action or two, and then Cliff.
So I've got some short-term, medium, and long-term. So in the short term, we have launched our campaign that is called We Fight Back. And in our campaign, we are working in 20 states, and this is going to be a hard election. And so what happens in this election cycle is going to be important. I think people are taking for granted what we're up against, but in some ways, I believe this election can possibly be more difficult than 2020. So part of the call to action is this is not the year that you can afford to stand on the sidelines. So you have got to find a way to do a couple of things. One, you've got to write a check, whether that's for $10, whether that's for $10,000, whether that's for Black Voters Matter. We would love to have a check. Please write us a check, send us a check. That would be great. But if not for us, for local groups that are doing the kind of frontline work, that's how we're going to make the change. And that's who we need in this moment. So at the end of the day, what we need groups supported during this moment. And so one of the calls of action is get involved now. This isn't the moment that we can actually, our opinions and our discussions are not enough. This is the time that you got to get up and move your feet. So volunteer with the organization, write a check, right? Really become engaged. This is also the year for amplification. It is not just good enough for you to vote. Everybody on this phone call, everybody on some level, I would expect has some political acumen. But it's really important for us to amplify, multiply what it is that we're doing. So this is the moment not to stay quiet, to really let people know what to do. And also every single person, see yourself, you are hereby deemed an organizer, that you are given the task to organize at least 10 people in this election process. So that's one. The second is that even as Cliff said earlier, we cannot out-organize this. We're going to do as much as we can in this moment. And by God, we have no choice but to win in this election cycle, right? But the truth of the matter is this is becoming just continuous. Like this is unsustainable. What is happening, the level and the rate of voter suppression, the level that and the rate that is happening, we cannot out-organize it. We have to have strong policies put in place. And so the John Lewis, if you were listening to the President's State of the Union speech, he talked about the John Lewis Voter Advancement Act and the Freedom to Vote Act. We need those two pieces of legislation. Right now, we need to be putting pressure on our elected officials, particularly the Senate. Your senators, no matter who they are, whether they're Republican or Democrat, and even the White House, send your letters. We need to be putting pressure, calling for the signing of the John Lewis Voter Advancement Act and the Freedom to Vote Act. And we want to see the president to make this as a core part of his first 100 days in office. So that's really important. And the third thing is, I'll stop with saying this. Everywhere I go, I ask people to close their eyes and imagine what America would look like without racism. No matter where I go, 99, if not no one has been asked that question before. And the reason why it's important is because it's really important for us to imagine new ways of being and new systems and how we can literally make this country stronger and better and more inclusive and have a representative democracy. So my third call to action is that every single person that is watching this right now would take the time to really radically reimagine what is the kind of America that you want to see, that you think that we desire, we deserve, that don't see yourself just as a citizen of the America that we have inherited, but start seeing yourself as founders of a new America. And what will it take for us to get there?
Thank you. Cliff, you want to add to that, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'll just say, look, we've got a ton of ways that people can get plugged in and volunteer with us. And so I'll just give that to you real quick. One way that you could get connected is to text volunteer. That's the word volunteer to this phone number 25225. Again, that's 25225. And I see that they just put it in the chat. And that'll get you connected with us, and we'll have somebody from our volunteer team that can reach out. We send millions of text messages throughout the course of the year, literally millions of text messages. And you can do that sitting at your home. You could have been doing it right now, even while we've been on this hour of discussion. You could have probably sent out a couple of thousand texts, just pressing on your phone real quick, even as you're listening to us. That's how easy it is. And guess what? We do a training every Tuesday. We call it Texting Tuesday, where you can come on and we'll give you a training in how to do it. It's real easy. So you could join us any Tuesday and learn how to do that and get involved. And that's just one way. We've also do phone banks. We've got people around the country that do postcard parties where, like, we'll give them addresses and they'll create the postcards. We've had some people that have created, like, special artwork that they've created themselves to go along with the postcards. But there are lots of ways that people can volunteer from wherever you are and in whatever state, whether it's Georgia or North Carolina or any of the other key states where we do our work and where there's going to be critical elections taking place. So that's one very concrete call to action that you can do. But guess what? If it's not us, if we're not your thing, fine, but get involved with some organization that is doing this work, and you could get involved, as a group of ClassACT, right, of alumni, or get involved individually, but find an organization that, has the goals and objectives and the values that you share. Because at the end of the day, we've got to be, this event is happening because of organization, because there was an organization that helped to make it happen. If we're going to fix this democracy, not save it, because it's been imperfect and it'll be imperfect tomorrow. But if we're gonna fix it, right? If we're gonna at least hold on to what we have, if we're gonna make sure that this election does not become the last election that ever takes place, then we've got to be organized, and everybody's got to be connected to some type of organization, whether it's Black Voters Matter or any other organization. And then thirdly, I'll say, again, find out about these voting rights issues, about the bills that LaTosha mentioned. We've got, information on it on our website and our social media, and I'll give you the social media. It's Black Voters MTR, like matter, Black Voters MTR. That's on TikTok, which we discussed earlier, Facebook, Instagram, and that thing that used to be called Twitter. But you can find us on all of that, Black Voters MTR, and we post out daily talking about what we're doing, what our partners are doing, what policies are out there. So those are just a couple of steps that you can take. But just remember this, and we've said it before, everybody is an organizer. Everybody has a role to play. You might not be the speaker. You may not even be the person that organizes the Zoom. You might be the person that does the artwork. You might be the person that cooks the food or brings the refreshments. Everybody's got a role to play, even if that role is just telling 5 other people. We want everybody we touch to be an organizer. If we all on this call do that, I believe we've got all the love and power we need right here on this one Zoom.
Thank you, Cliff. Steve Milliken, founder of JusticeAid, can you give us a call to action?
Well, I would say the call to action is to empty all your wallets and purses directly in favor of a check to JusticeAid, justiceaid.org, donate, and it will go penny for penny to Black Voters Matter. We are so honored to be partnering with Black Voters Matter. We scrubbed the landscape to try and figure out who the most kick-ass social justice warriors were in this time of peril, when people are trying to kidnap the governor of Michigan, storm the Capitol, and do all manner of crazy things. We got to return some sanity to save this democracy. And it's going to take money. You heard it from Cliff. You've heard it all day. We need to absolutely empty our resources and channel them in favor of Black Voters Matter. That's a judgment of JusticeAid. And we're going to organize a concert to raise more money for Black Voters Matter, May 21st at City Winery in New York. Hope you'll come. If you're associated with an organization that can sponsor a table, do it. We raised $600 and some odd thousand last year for Black Voters Matter, and we want to raise it again. And early money matters, so we want to raise it by June 30th. So I hope all of you, and heartfelt thanks to ClassACT for not just raising money for Harvard as alumni, but raising money for social justice and doing the things we do. My call to action is just that simple. Get the checkbook out. Get the checkbook out. And if you give it to JusticeAid, we give it dollar for dollar right through this election to Black Voters Matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. And finally, I'd like to invite Therese Steiner, who is the head of the ClassACT Justice and Civic Engagement Group, to give our call to action, please.
Thank you, everybody. And I hope as organizers, and this is something you'll put in your democracy kit immediately. We would love you at ClassACT to get involved with our Justice and Civic Engagement Committee. We're going to be doing hopefully a lot of things with Black Voters Matter. We're going to be organizing some ClassACT Black Voters Matter voter registration. Our monthly bulletin puts out volunteer opportunities and we have essays about what's going on in all the states. We have a reproductive rights part of the work that we do. So I invite you on behalf of ClassACT to get involved with us as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all of you. And we certainly have good calls to action. We just must rush right out and begin.